Zone Ads, World of Local Business Info.
I understand all of you are waiting for lunch. I'm going to be quick. We are going to look at some aspects of tele-rehabilitation and aphasia today. And I want all of you to understand how you can pick your candidates for tele-rehabilitation and how you can go about tele-rehabilitation, especially for aphasia through this presentation. So we basically include we want to understand about what tele-rehabilitation includes and why is it so much talked about these days, and what's new in the research related to aphasia, tele-rehabilitation in aphasia, and what is the future looking like. And the main question, have we really adapted tele-rehabilitation, because we've been talking about tele-rehabilitation throughout the COVID time so much. So we are going to answer some of these questions in this presentation. Tele-rehabilitation includes synchronous communication and asynchronous communication. Basically meaning to say synchronous communication systems are like your Zoom, Google Meet, where you have online live interaction with your clients, whereas the asynchronous systems are more or less your apps that you use for tele-rehabilitation, which is like a store and forward system of information. We're going to talk about app-based rehabilitation in today's talk because the number of people using smartphones in our country is at a rise. So currently, 62% of our population use and own smartphones, and this mobile phone penetration is increasing by the year with more options being available to the users. So one of the factors is that the price that we pay per GB of data has fallen drastically since 2016. So while we were paying about 152 rupees per GB, it's come down to about just 10 rupees per GB today. So the data usage has increased, the number of people owning these smartphones has increased, and even the data usage in rural areas and urban areas has increased. So while the rural areas consume a lot of video content, the urban areas consume data for emailing, for more official purposes, along with things like online shopping, social media, etc. So like I was just mentioning, this usage of smartphones has increased a lot because the mobile phones have become very, very affordable. So in today's date, you can find a good smartphone even for say 3,000 bucks, and that's quite affordable for a large population in our country. The second factor that contributes is that now we have the display in our own Indian languages. So now when you book an Uber, you can see that your driver is using the Uber app in Telugu font. So this helps a lot of rural population consume data and use smartphones for various purposes. And there have been a lot of government initiatives lately under which even telepractice has come into picture. So these are some of the key areas that our government has been stressing upon. So you do listen to a lot of Digital India and digital campaigns going around in the country. So all of these have roughly, helped us use smartphones more than what we were using before. So how all of this is related to us using apps in rehabilitation is what is going to come up. Okay. So in a recent survey, we found that the most used device for tele-rehab has been smartphones because of all the reasons that we've discussed. After smartphones, people prefer using a laptop, then probably a PC, and then an iPad. So we look at what's new in tele-rehabilitation. So there are a lot of apps available in the market. I am going to talk about one in which I have some amount of experience, which is called Constant Therapy. So this is a US-based app originally developed for the Western population in English language. We've made some efforts to get this app into Hindi and Kannada, and field testing has been done. We're just waiting for the app to launch in our Indian languages. So this has modules for therapy for language, cognition and everyday skills. Let me introduce the team behind this work. that's Dr. Goswami, who's my mentor at Aish. So we've done this work under his guidance in collaboration with Dr. Swati, who is the head of the Aphasia lab at Boston University, and Mr. Mahendra Advani, who is the technological head CTO and co-founder of Constant Therapy. So all of this has been a collaborative effort. So this is what the Hindi app looks like. So the entire user interface has been developed in Hindi and Kannada with completed field testing. So some of the tasks. So you have a lot of tasks which are tap, swipe, drag in, okay, and playback, record. So consisting of all multimodal cues that you can provide through a digital mode. So this is how the app looks like. I'm going to talk about a few things related to this research. So when we conducted the field testing, we found some interesting findings related to how patients accept or use technology when you are presenting it to them. Okay, so we've compared it with a few we checked for the task compliance, meaning to say how many of the tasks that you present during your field testing a patient is willingly completing. So we are not looking at what is the percentage of accuracy or how good are the responses. We're just looking at how the patients have participated in the therapy program if you have introduced therapy through a phone-based app. So as you can see, our general notion would probably be that if somebody is illiterate and cannot read words, he might not be willing to use something that is app-based. But we found it contradicting here. So because you have a representation of data in the form of a picture, in the form of audio feedback, everything is visual and you can try it out, and the app always gives you a feedback of what is happening. Even if the patient is not literate or cannot read words, they have shown good task compliance, meaning to say they've shown good participation in therapy. The other factor that we saw was knowledge of using smartphone. Like most of our grandparents, they struggle with using smartphones, but they do learn over a period of time. So this was true for our patients who underwent the clinical trials as well. So those patients who did not know to use a smartphone could also work through the app, and they could perform tasks on the app when you are presenting various rehabilitation tasks to them. Apart from that, when we checked how is the participation in app-based therapy across age groups, we found that younger people and older people were the most enthusiastic, and they could, they had good participation in therapy, and they could finish most tasks when compared to the younger adults, because they had other commitments like getting back to their work and dealing with job-related aspects of life. So their participation was a little lesser than the younger group and the elderly. Apart from that, those who were working with a clinician showed excellent task compliance. They were participating in therapy program well, and they were finishing their tasks better than those who were working remotely without guidance. So that tells us that even if there is an app that can do everything for a patient, a therapist is always needed. And caregiver support. So those patients who had caregivers accompanying them at all levels, they had excellent participation in therapy program than those who were working independently. And again, people who had prior experience with therapy, their participation was better because they understood that treatment really helps. So those were the group that participated better with app-based rehabilitation. So this tells us that therapy compliance is good if there is caregiver support and if there is guided therapy with a clinician accompanying the patient, guiding the patient through the therapy process. And like we have this perception that literacy is important or knowing to use a smartphone is important for you to implement app-based rehabilitation is not really true. So that need not be a prerequisite for you to select patients to implement tele-rehab through apps. So we also checked how they are using the cues. So like we said, if I do not understand a task, I have videos that guide me as to how I navigate through the app. I have an audio playback that tells me what the instruction is. I also have multiple trials. So when you see most of your gaming also, when you try to drag and drop a wrong answer, it doesn't really fit in. So the tile probably comes back to its place. So when you do that, you ultimately end up putting the right block in the space, and that gives you a corrective feedback automatically. So using all of these cues, when we checked how the cue usage was across participants, we found that across various cognitive linguistic profiles, the cue usage was excellent, and that is what kept them going. That is what kept them using the app for a longer period of time. This was true for various severities also. So they were able to use the cues, play the same audio multiple times, understand how the task has to be done, and finally perform the task. So what does the future look like? I don't know if some of the audience have played games like GTA Vice City. So this is going to be something like that. So now we have virtual reality. We are talking about metaverse now. So all of that has already come in, and this research has been in place since say 2015, 2016, where you have dedicated virtual reality platforms with various social situations. So you have a mall, you have a park, you have a hospital, and many things like that. So the participant is purely involving in the therapy through online media. Okay, so he gets to choose his avatar, he gets to choose what he wants to wear, he gets to choose how he wants to be seen in the virtual reality. So the entire communication across participants happens through headsets, through say typing in, and all of that. And this has shown promising results because it simulates real life like situations. And we've been hearing of companion robots for a long time, which helps elderly maintain their cognitive skills, maintain their language by helping them have small conversations on a daily basis. And the main question, after having spoken so much about tele-rehabilitation through the COVID period and after the COVID period, if I have to comment about have we really adapted tele-rehabilitation that well, it doesn't look like it. So even now a lot of us prefer conventional face-to-face therapy or probably a hybrid model rather than tele-rehab platform. So the opinion has been same with the users as well. So most of your patients even now are more inclined towards conventional therapy than hybrid or tele-rehab, because somewhere the research is not reaching the population, it's not convincing your patients that yes, it is effective and it can be used. So that is the gap that all of us must identify and try to fill so that you can use all of tele-rehab to its fullest potential. Just to conclude, we've always been debating about is it man with technology or man versus technology. So like in any other therapy case, it's always an eclectic approach that works the best. So I hope you guys have taken some inputs from this presentation and the research gap will be filled. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to our channel, click the bell icon and select all.